everyone. This is Criminal Profiler Pat Brown, and this is Dear Profiler Pat, where you send me your questions and I give some advice. If you'd like that, please do send an email to profilerpatbrown@gmail.com and put in the subject line, Dear Profiler Pat. And if you're new to the channel, please do subscribe. Check my playlist to see the different areas that I give advice on. And I hope I can help in some way, a little bit or a lot. All right, this one. Dear Profiler Pat, how do I stop my spouse from believing nonsense on the internet? And this has become a huge problem these days. And this is the email that I got. Dear Profiler Pat, my 76-year-old husband watches fake YouTube channels and thinks they're real. Okay, first of all, there are fake AI channels now, complete AI channels. It's unbelievable. I did a show on that. Actually, I'll link it below. A true crime channel, called itself a true crime channel, and they just made up all the stories, and it had huge number of viewers and people believing it. They're like, "Oh my God!" And then the wife did this, and I'm like, "It's fake. The entire thing's fake. You can't find the names of these people any place on the. If you look in the news, you can't find the town. You can't find the crime. It doesn't exist. It's completely fake." And there are also, when you say a lot of fake YouTube channels, some of them aren't fake, but the stuff they spew is nonsense and is inaccurate and is gossipy, or they have an agenda because that's what's going to make them the money. So they'll say this person didn't commit a crime, this person did commit a crime, or this person did whatever. They'll make accusations just willy-nilly just because it gains people's attention and they get money from that. They get views, they get money. So there are a lot of channels who are real channels, but with grifter kind of people on those channels. Then you get the regular news stations, and our journalism is in the toilet. So you get any of the major news stations. So again, this is not a political channel, so don't say, don't watch this news station. If you watch this news, no, stop that. All of the news stations have this problem. They don't do in-depth journalism. They don't spend time getting true facts. They rush because they're 24 hours, and they rush. And that includes everything, even papers, newspapers, which now are no longer really, well, sometimes there's still newspapers, but they're also electronic on the internet. They rush to get stuff out in quantity, and they don't care about facts all that much. They just go for a story. And facts be damned. And a lot of times they're just plagiarizing off each other. So this station does, and all of a sudden 100 more stations say the same thing. Nobody knows what you're saying is even true. And it's sad because these are hosts of these shows, and journalists shouldn't have words coming out of their mouths that they don't know are accurate. But that's what they're hired to just say stuff. So it's all over the internet. It's on YouTube. It's on Facebook. It's on X. It's on TikTok. It's on every major news channel. That's on the internet and on your TV set. So, yeah. So there's a lot of it out there. I have tried to talk to him about it and have explained there's a lot of fake stuff out there, and you have to know who is putting out information before you can accept it as true. And that should be what we should all do. We should all analyze anything and try to determine how much work has been put into the research and where they got the information from, and pick channels that you feel have actually done that and are providing support for what they're saying. It says, I get pulled into it because he'll say something like, Gene Hackman's son just got arrested for murder. And I'll say, no, I don't think that happened. What is your source? And it will just be some random channel. And I have to explain to him, I don't consider him, well, I have to explain that to him. And then she says, I don't consider him a typically gullible person, but when it is on YouTube, he doesn't question the source and believes whatever he's watching. There seems to be no end to these fake channels. That is very true. It's like the as many stars in the sky type thing, because that's how many channels can be out there on any one of these platforms. Should I just shut up and let him think what he's watching is legit, or continue trying to reason with him? It is starting to become a source of arguments. I'm not trying to insult him, but he takes it that way. Okay, the problem is deeper than the fact that he believes this stuff. And oddly enough, Katy Perry just said this. And I'm not a big, huge fan of Katy Perry singing or her astronaut work. But Katy Perry, if you don't know what she looks like, that's Katy Perry. She said she's been, after she went up in the little space run, She said she's been battered and bruised by backlash, which she has been brutalized by. People are just mocking her and mocking her. It's pretty nasty and mean. And I know what that's like because I have that happen to me all the time because I have a YouTube channel. I have 2 YouTube channels. I get attacked all the time, like on a daily basis, on a minute by minute basis. I get people call me all kinds of names, old crone, stupid lady. Hey, you're a moron. You didn't do your research. You don't know anything. Blah 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 blah. All the time. But she said this. This is what I liked. The internet is a quote dumping ground for unhinged and unhealed. I think this is a brilliant statement. It's a dumping ground for the unhinged and unhealed. Now, it's an interesting two-way street. It is a place where people can have channels, and they may lack the ability to be ethical, shall we say, or moral, or want to do what's right, or want to be respected in their great journalism skills, or whatever channel they're on, or whatever media outlet they're representing. They'll just do it because they like the money that's coming in. They're kind of unhinged in their own way. They're willing to just go with whatever the program is, no matter what. They'll just do it, and that means probably they got maybe a few issues themselves, unhinged and unhealed. Unhealed being that maybe they have some internal problems, that this is the way they get their needs met. Maybe they need the attention. Maybe they need to be famous. Maybe they want to be adored. Whatever it is, they do things that maybe they shouldn't be doing. And that's coming from the side of the people who are putting out the stuff. But then there's the other side of people who spew stuff back at those people, at everyone on the internet. And she's talking mostly about commenters who, from their own houses without their real names, can say nasty and mean things and get this cheap, crappy thrill. Look, I said this. Even if there's 5,000 or 50,000 comments on a video, they'll still put up a comment, because they get that out of themselves, and they love that feeling of power they get for that minute of going after that person and saying these things. Or sometimes just showing how brilliant they are. I've had people come on my criminal profiling channel, Profiling with Pat Brown, and I will have spent 2 hours detailing a case, and they won't even they won't even watch the video. They just immediately come on and put on a comment this long saying, this is what actually happened, which is completely opposite of what I said. But they don't care what I said, because now they've gotten an opportunity, a space in the public forum to say what they can say. And that they think that's fantastic. They get a chance to say stuff for free. They don't have to, it's an opportunity waiting for them, So you get people who are unhinged, and I prefer getting the other word, unhealed. Unhealed. It's a weird way of saying that, but I think what she's saying is unhinged being somebody who's not all in control of themselves. They've got mental issues. And unhealed, that they have internal emotional problems that have never been met. So they're unhealed. Interesting wording. So now we go to the spouse, 76 years old. And I think his problem is he's wasting a whole lot of his time doing stuff that isn't healthy for him. And I see this a lot. I mean, I have to even tell people come to my channel, stop watching so much stuff. Maybe just but if you're on the internet 12 hours a day, and you come and you say, hey, I've been watching all these different channels, 4 or 5 different channels, and I've been on them for the last 6 hours, you might need to get a life. And so a lot of times people who don't have a good enough life, they're in a sense that they just don't have what they need. They shouldn't be on the internet wasting their time with most of this baloney. I'm saying baloney. I'm trying to say not the BS word, but they're wasting their time. They're not even picking specific channels that they think are valuable. Like if you want to learn about cooking and you specifically pick a cooking channel, you might learn from that. If you're an artist, you might pick an art channel and you learn from that. If you do want to learn actual criminal profiling and analysis of evidence, I have one of those channels. But if you're just sitting there listening to a bunch of whole nonsense being spewed out, like, oh my God, did you hear what happened yesterday? It's true. Gene Hackman, blah, 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 blah. This kind of nonsense. it's not doing you any good. You're not growing with that. You're not getting better with it. And you're not improving your life with that. You're just wasting a huge amount of time. Why are you wasting all that time? Probably because you got nothing to do. And in this particular letter writer, you say that your spouse is 76 years old. Now, just because you're in your 70s doesn't mean you don't have anything to do. But I have seen that sometimes as people get older and they're no longer employed, especially if they are retired, they have many, many hours in the day. And they don't know what to do with all those darn hours in the day. They don't have enough projects, enough hobbies, enough. It's a long damn day, you know. So if he gets up in the morning and he has his cup of coffee and he's like, now what? And he goes and he wanders off to the internet because at least it's stimulating in some weird way. I think a lot of the internet is like drug use. It's a drug. And the more you do it, the more you want it. It's an instantaneous thing. It's like instant gratification. You get it right away. And if you don't get it on that channel, you go click and you get it over there and you go to this one, you go to that one, you try to grab things that'll rev you up, make you feel alive. And so it's a drug. And that's why these grifter channels put out this nonsense the way they do, because it does bring in attention and tons of people. And they make a ton of money off of people because they're drug pushers, essentially. But they're just nonsense pushers instead. And but it gives somebody something. It does make a buzz in the brain, if nothing else. So I think, letter writer, your husband probably doesn't have enough of a life. And he really is missing something, unhealed in a sense, that he's lost something for whatever reasons, that whether it's his age or whether it's whatever he's doing in life, whatever his situation is, he's missing, he has a hole that he needs to heal, but he can't heal it with the drug of the internet. He needs to heal it with something else, useful service, something, a job. People, it's like, oh, you always have to be retired when you're a certain age. I'm sorry, I'm still working. Why? Because I dread not working, because I don't know how to fill up all those other hours. And I am a busy person, you know. I'm an artist. I play pickleball. I play table tennis. I'm studying Spanish. I'm writing books. I have all these things, but it's still a long damn day. When you're not working 40 hours a week, you don't have that extra 8 to 10 hours a day that is used in work. You don't have the camaraderie in work. Well, I don't have it because I work from home. But you know, those things take up people's day and get them input when they drive into a job and they're with people and they're doing stuff. And all of a sudden they wake up one morning, they've retired. They got a long day ahead of them. And they're like, what am I going to do with this? And so, you know, when they're first retired, they're like, oh, this is great. I don't have to be in traffic anymore. I don't have to deal with people, blah, 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 blah. And now I can garden and work in the workshop, but I don't know what to build anymore because we're downsizing. And geez, you know, now I don't have as much money, so I don't really want to go out and spend so much money eating in restaurants anymore. And maybe I want to travel, but I've traveled enough. I'm not sure I even know if another place I really want to go to. And then this is where the hole starts increasing, you know, and it needs to be dealt with. And so what's the easy thing? Going to the internet, because I guess you're not drinking and drugging, you know what I mean? Going to the internet. Some people go to pornography. That's another thing that's on the internet. A lot of pornography. And people get off on that, but they literally do. But you know, gets them through their day. They're going to go watch some pornography. And it's easy to do because it's right there in your home. You don't have to go any place. It's just right there at a press of a finger. So I think your 76-year-old husband is suffering from, first of all, that big hole that she says is unhealed. And now the unhinged part. That may be an issue too. I have noticed that there's a whole bunch of people who do seem to be unhinged. They seem to be falling into every conspiracy theory known to man. And again, not political, left or right, doesn't make any difference. It's just, oh my God, do you know what's happening? This is happening over here. This is happening over here. There's racism here. There's a political unrest here. The government is doing this to us. The police are doing that to us. The teachers are doing this to us. It's like somebody's doing something to somebody. Oh my God, it's happening. It's happening. And then they think they're going to somehow impact. I've seen people go nutty on certain true crime cases, as if they have any impact at all. They have zero impact. This is a case that's being handled by a police in another country, and yet you're sitting somewhere thousands of miles away, and you think because you write something on a Facebook page that you're changing the course of history in that case. No, you're not. That's an unhinged thing. You think that you're somehow more powerful and more important than you actually are. That you think that you somehow jumping into these things, that you're doing something. I've seen people also on their Facebook pages just spewing tons of political stuff. And the funny thing, some of these people are people who have been a public figure, and they go on their Facebook page and they say, I'm going to say this, and then a lot of people say, yeah, you should be saying that because you're a citizen and you care. And then the other groups, some people come and say, I really liked you, but now you're so offensive that I don't, because they are being offended because it's not polite, it's not pretty, it's not, and so it gets nasty. And which has been a thing recently, which is everybody's very, very nasty, and nobody can seem to discuss things peacefully. But it makes people feel important to be nasty. They thinking being nasty and saying these mean things is somehow productive, gives them some meaning in the world. That's called unhinged. You think actually doing something in the world will make a difference. You want to join a particular group that actually does specific useful things in the world. You want to volunteer to help children. You want to volunteer to help whatever you want to volunteer to help, and you're going to go there and put out that effort. Yes, then you're making a difference in the world. But spewing crap at the computer at different people's Facebook pages rarely has any, great importance. But I see people doing that, and not only are they doing it just on Facebook. What they'll do is, or any place else on the internet, any comment area. But they will also, like your husband's doing, watch this stuff and come back and throw it at you, because he in watching this stuff, he thinks somehow he now knows stuff that's important, and he can tell you this stuff that's important, and he makes him feel important. And I've seen this happen in public locations where people are just watching stuff on the internet, and they come and they tell everybody in the room that this is what's going on in the world, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, why are you all doing this stuff? Why don't you do something useful? But I think this is the unhinged part, that people become very emotional. And by being very emotional, somehow they feel they're going to be noticed, especially if they're loud and yelling and saying these things that, oh my God, you got to be shocked by this. They think they're somehow being relevant. And when people get to that point where they become unhinged, to the point where they feel they need to do things that are outrageous, irritating, obnoxious, and all this kind of stuff, it's because they do have that part that needs healing. They got a hole someplace, and it's not being filled properly, so they become unhinged, and they don't pursue things that would truly make their lives and other people's lives better. So, what do you do when you are living in a home with somebody? It doesn't have to be a spouse. It could be a parent. It could be a child. It could be a brother, sister, whatever it is, that is obsessed with this kind of thing, and won't stop talking about it, won't stop believing these things are true, and have to tell you about it, because what do you do? Well, can you convince them that it's not, half the stuff isn't true? Can you? No, they don't want to be convinced. That's the whole thing. If they wanted to know if it was true or not, they would do research. I mean, I know so many times that people say, look, can you look at this case, Pat? I think this is what happened. This person was murdered. They didn't kill themselves. They were murdered. That's what happened. I don't take that from them. I say, okay, interesting. I'll go look it up, and I go and find police reports and forensic reports, everything I can, before I make a determination whether it's true or not. Or I wait patiently to see if more information will come in. So a person who wants to know the truth will search the truth, but a person who doesn't really care if it's true, they just care about the impact it'll have in their own minds and in other people's minds, and in whoever they tell that thing to. That's what they're getting. They're getting the emotional thing, the the drug thing that they need, and they want to pass that drug on to you. They want you to join them, because anybody knows anybody who's, if you've been drinking, you want the other person to drink. You don't want to drink alone. You don't want to take drugs by yourself, because then people look at you and go, oh, you're weird acting. But if you take the same drug, you're all weird acting together, right? So if they can convince you to think this is cool too, then they've got a partner in crime, in the sense of, we're all going to believe this, we're all going to talk about this. They have a problem. And the problem isn't just the news and the falsity of YouTube channels. It's the person choosing to pay attention to them and to accept whatever they say, even if they know, sometimes they even know it's nonsense, but just that's not important to them. So if you have somebody in your house like that, what do you do about it? Well, first of all, arguing with them to try to keep telling them it's not true, it's not true, it's not true, is a waste of your time. You could try it once and say, look, I see you're excited about this, but a lot of that stuff on the internet is not true. And I wish you would do some more research to see if there's any validity. Come back to me after you've researched like 10 other places that are legitimate, that might have a more rational and truthful viewpoint. But if they don't want to do that, they're never going to do that. And once they don't want to do that and they keep coming back with all the nonsense, what do you do? Well, you got two issues here. One is that you don't want to deal with it, and you don't want to be in an argument all the time. So if they come to you and say, guess what? I just read that. I said, I really don't want, I don't really want to discuss that. I'll read my news, you read your news. You watch your thing, I'll watch my thing, but I really don't want to discuss that thing. Please keep your things to yourself and leave it alone. And when they come back and say, but no, I don't really want to go there. I don't want to know about these things. It just irritates me, and trying to, it's just, I don't want to do it. So you do that. I'll do this. So basically stop them in their tracks. And it might serve a purpose in that, first of all, you won't be as annoyed. Secondly, if they can't get that attention from you, they might not be as enthusiastic about watching all the things that they watch, because they got nobody to spew it to, right? So that's one issue. The second part is, what are they missing in their life? And can you help them build something in their life that will fill that hole that they're just not having a fulfilling life? Help them find something to do. Help them find a way to feel important, a way to use their skills, a way to have fun, a way to wake up in the morning and think they have better things to do than watch that garbage. So that's the way I think you can help anybody in your life who is struggling with not having really a good enough life, and that this is why they've sunk into the drug of the internet to the extent that they have. So help them in any way. Not tell them, you're just sitting there watching the internet, so they're, you're just wasting your time. Why don't you do something useful? Don't do that, because that does make them mad. But just if there's any way you can find cool things that just might bring them out of that. If you say, oh, wow, I just realized you have this, you have this amazing ability to, your painting is really, really amazing. The way you painted our house was just, you're so skilled at it. Have you ever thought about working with that? There's a volunteer organization in town that's looking for people to paint with them, to paint houses for like poor people or something, or whatever you freaking can think of. That might be something that would use their skill and be something they might enjoy and feel like they're valuable. And then when they get up in the morning, they'll want to go do that over. They'll go, nah, I'd rather go do this. So that's my suggestion, because I really think that's what the issue is. So looking back at our friend here and what she has to say, I think that the way she put it was good again. I just lost my spot here. Where did she go? Hold on a second. I just want to give her credit at the end. As I say, I'm not a particular fan of Katy Perry, but again, I think it was wise. The internet is a dumping ground for the unhinged and unhealed. So if you're stuck on this dumping ground, if you're unhinged and unhealed, you want to fix that. And if you have a person around you who is stuck on the internet and is unhinged and unhealed, maybe you could help them out. Anyway, those are my thoughts. If you're new to the channel, please do like and subscribe, and send me your questions, and do what I can to answer them. Bye.